Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, or as some people like to call him, the big dog. But with dogs, they tend to deposit shit out of their arse. But when it comes to Roman Reigns, he deposits the shit out of the other end, because all he does is talk absolute crap. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. Roman Reigns has been running his mouth again. You would think this guy was Hulk Hogan. You would think this guy was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hell, you would think this guy is Vince McMahon. He always throws his name out there like he is, if not the greatest, one of the greatest of all time. Roman Reigns would lead you to believe that he revolutionized the business, that he brought the business to new heights, that he did this and that he did that. But newsflash, wrestling has been on the decline for a long fucking time. Wrestling has been declining massively now for like 20 plus years, and Roman Reigns is responsible for that. He's played a huge part in that, and we can actually see that he's not helped the product at all. Unlike a certain John Cena, who was like the only guy before him that was keeping the rating above a 3 million, what did Roman Reigns do? This guy wouldn't know what 3 million viewers is. I mean, this guy, the title reign in like 2020 to 2024 or 23, whenever it is, people would almost try and lie to you and get you to believe that was like an Attitude Era run, when it simply was fucking not. You know, all Roman Reigns has done all Roman Reigns has done has been the number one guy in the company while the company has fucking sucked. That's it. He's the number one guy. He's been pushed as the big dog. And that's true. I won't take that away from him. But let's not lie here and pretend that he has done anything good with the company, or he's taken the company to new heights, or he's made the company successful, because that's not true. All he's done is be the top man. All he's done is be the top man for the he's done is be the top man. He's done is be the top man for the majority of the last close to 15 years now. I mean, probably like 13 years to be exact, or whatever, 14. But we're talking close to 15 years now. This guy has been on the main roster. And pretty much straight away, like about a year after the Shield debut, it was quite clear that this guy was getting pushed as the top man. And for like the first 6 years, people hated it. People did not like this guy. People did not want this guy. He was getting booed out of the fucking building. If you're that great, if you're that good, that you ain't getting booed. Oh, but Rocky Maivia got... Aye, and look how quickly The Rock turned that around, you know, quickly got a new gimmick, something that worked for him, and then we got one of the best and greatest wrestlers of all time. Roman Reigns stuck with the fucking same shite for years, the same god-awful cringe promos. Sucker and suffatash. I mean, what the hell is that shit? Remember John Cena just wrecked him? He just like broke kayfabe in the middle of the ring. It's called a promo, kid. You gotta learn how to do it if you want to be the big dog. And I mean, Roman Reigns didn't have a fucking leg to stand on. And then they give him the tribal chief character, and essentially he does nothing. He stands in the ring, he moves his jaw around as if that's great storytelling. And for the most part, in the Bloodline, it was Paul Heyman doing the talking for him, or it was Jey Uso and Sami Zayn having issues in the Bloodline. For the most part, what made the Bloodline relatively interesting, if you want to say that, it wasn't even anything to do with Roman Reigns. You know, he was the leader, he was the champion, but he wasn't the best guy. He wasn't the fucking best guy. And his claim to fame is the fact that he was the number one guy. Just like Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes will claim that he's the top guy in the company, and in terms of full-timers, he might be. He is, okay? Cody Rhodes is the top guy. Triple H refers to Cody Rhodes as his QB1. He is the number one guy. Okay. He is the quarterback. But that doesn't mean that wrestling is fucking good, okay? Hogan, Austin, they were quarterbacks of, if you want to use NFL terms, they were quarterbacks of teams that went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl and had like perfect fucking records and very rarely ever lost a game. Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, yeah, they're still starting quarterbacks. They're QB1s, but they're quarterbacks of teams that have like a losing seasonal record of something like 2-15. 2 wins and 15 losses. So yeah, they might still technically be the top guys. They might be the number one guy in the company, but you can't compare them. You fucking cannot compare them. Hogan was the top guy for WWF in the 80s. Cody Rhodes is the top guy for WWF in 2026. That does not make them the same. Roman Reigns was the top guy for WWF, for WWE for like 10 years. Austin was the top guy back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. Doesn't mean you can compare them. Doesn't make them the same. Absolutely fucking not. So, I mean, come on. Come on here. Roman Reigns might have been pushed as the number one guy, but, I mean, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit if you're the number one guy of something that's shite? You know, something that's shite, and wrestling is shite, and we need to stop pretending that it's not, and Roman Reigns needs to stop pretending that he's somehow this god when he simply ain't. Anyway, he spoke to Nico Leonard for an interview on the build-up to WrestleMania. He talked about achieving everything he can, having no competition, and him not wanting to retire yet because he believes there's a lot WWE can do creatively and there's a lot of storylines he's got to do, and I'm like, bullshit. There's nothing. They don't have a creative bone in their body. WWE don't do storylines. So what's this guy talking about? Anyway, let's get into what he had to say. He says, quote, "There are some days when I'm trying to get back into that elite level mindset or fitness. I think to myself, why am I doing this? Kind of like there is a watch sickness. There is a content sickness. I'm not ready yet. I feel like I still have more. I'm very happy with what I've done over the past few years, and I could hang my hat on that, but I know I still have more to offer. There is not any accolade I can win in wrestling now, but I can take a championship and showcase what happens to a championship when you put it on a megastar. That's my goal. Showcase the difference. When I have a title and when everybody else has one, there is a difference." Has one, there is a difference. End of quote. Right, okay. First of all, there is no difference. Wrestling isn't going to get popular. The ratings aren't going to massively go up. Ticket sales aren't going to go through the roof. There's not going to be a boom period just because Roman Reigns wins a title. There's not that much difference between Roman Reigns being the champion and Cody Rhodes being the champion, or CM Punk being the champion. So that is bullshit. He's claiming that somehow you're going to see a huge difference in wrestling. We ain't going to see shit. There's going to be no difference. And second of all, what's he talking about? I want to showcase what happens when you put it on a megastar. I'll tell you what happens. He fucks off and you never see him with his part-time schedule. Oh, I'm going to show you what a real champion does. What does a real champion do, Roman? Sit at home and not show up to work? I mean, this guy's the biggest fucking fraud I've ever seen in wrestling. Honestly, biggest fraud I've ever seen in wrestling. Right. He then went on to talk about no competition in WWE. He says, quote, "There's no true competition for us. There's other promotions, there's other places to work in wrestling, but if you want to be in the top show, if you want to be considered at the very tippy top of the mountain, you have to be in WWE. And I've done everything you can do there, but you can still continue to dominate the scene. You can still be the number one guy. You can still, the moment they think you've done everything, you can still pop up and show them up, and here's another layer, here's another little sliver of entertainment you didn't think or you can evolve, end of quote. But we just see that in wrestling, people don't evolve. People don't evolve. It just doesn't happen. You look at people say stay the same for years. Characters just don't. Well, I mean, there is no characters, but you get my point. Wrestlers just don't change. I mean, you could not back in the day. You could like skip 5 years in wrestling, and the change would be massive. Say for example, you're watching wrestling in '94, and then you skip 5 years to '99. The difference between 94 and 99 is absolutely insane. And then you skip from 99 to 2004, and the difference is absolutely insane. And then you skip from 2004 to 2009, and again, the difference is insane. You can clear, and then you skip from 2009 to 2014. You've been able to see in wrestling that there was a lot changed in 5 years. Now in wrestling, nothing changes. Everything looks the same. You've got the same looks, the same setups, same commentators, the same rosters. I mean, nothing really evolves. Nothing really changes. And he says that WWE is the number one show, and if you're not here, then you don't really matter. And I mean, so what? So what? Yes, WWE is the number one show, but again, that doesn't mean it was good. When WCW was the number one show, 83 weeks, they were beating the competition. They were beating WWF. When WWF got really into its strides and started dominating, they were beating WCW. They were beating good competition. WWE doesn't have competition. Roman Reigns is even admitting that. So it's like, why are you bragging about being number one when there's no competition to begin with? You fucking fraud. The guy's bragging about, WWE, we're the best. Nobody can compete with us. There's no competition. Well, that's why nobody can compete, because there is no legitimate competition. And if there was a company that was doing like 10% of good things, then WWE would be in trouble, because everybody would be watching that instead of watching this shit. So yeah, just Roman Reigns, full of crap, man. Full of crap. And then he talked about wanting to squeeze a little more juice out of Roman Reigns, and that there's more stories and all this shit for him to do. He says, quote, "There's still a little more juice to squeeze. Almost there, but not quite. I still feel like I have a lot to offer. I'm 40 years young. With everything that we have within sports science, nutrition, all the information we have, careers have been extended. We also get to a point where you grind it out early in your career, and then once you get towards the back end, that equity kicks in. And then you get into a different ballpark as far as finances. I'm not going to leave the park now. If the ATM machine is broken, you're not going to run away from it. You're going to keep collecting that money. I still feel like creatively, there is so much left for me to do. There is still a great deal of earning for me to take advantage of." End of quote. He said that, well, I mean, he is talking about money and shit like that, and that appears to be all he's interested in at this moment. And then he says, creatively, there's still a lot for me to do. There is no creative in WWE. What is he talking about? They're creatively bankrupt. He did the exact same shit with CM Punk for like 9 weeks in a row, albeit a few weeks he didn't show up and Punk had to just cut a promo by himself. But when he did show up, him and Punk did the exact same thing. Just both guys in the ring, cutting a promo, and sometimes it led to a brawl. And even that didn't make sense, because how can you go from brawling 2 weeks in a row and then the next week you're just having a face-to-face promo where there's no physical contact? Once it escalates into physical contact, you really shouldn't be able to stand side by side and have words with each other anymore. But again, WWE don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. Once the physical contact starts, it doesn't really make sense to have two guys be able to stand in the ring and then not get physical. But WWE, I'm sure they know what they're doing, and I don't. But it talks about, creatively, there's so much for me to do. There's nothing for him to do. There is no creative, there is no storylines, there is no characters, there's nothing interesting going on. Across the board, everybody thinks that WWE is the worst it's ever been. It's fucking awful to be a wrestling fan. Having to sit through 2.5 hours of Raw, 3 hours of SmackDown is borderline fucking torture. And I honestly 100% would not be doing it if it wasn't for you guys and it wasn't for YouTube. If YouTube wasn't a thing and we didn't have subscribers, I would not watch wrestling, and I mean at all. I mean, maybe once every 6 months I'd look up No DQ and check out a couple of results just to see is there anything different or whatever. You know, have they managed to create someone that's not a fucking loser? Is there a new chick or something that's on the scene that's worth masturbating over or some bullshit like that? But would I watch wrestling? Fuck no. Fuck no. And even then, honestly, I think that most people got to this part watching wrestling out of loyalty. I don't think people were still watching wrestling in 2015 because they thought the product was
Hotels.com is where you go to choose from hundreds of thousands of hotels and earn rewards on every stay.
Was a good enough standard. I don't think people were watching wrestling 10 years ago because they felt like this standard is good enough for me to invest my time in watching. I know for me that wasn't the case. When I was watching 10 years ago, it was because I had some sort of loyalty to WWE where you grew up watching it your entire life and you loved it and you had hope that it would get good again. So you were kind of watching out of like loyalty and hope. I certainly wasn't watching it because I thought it was good. And guess what? Wrestling has got way worse in the last 10 years. So yeah, I would not entertain watching this garbage if it wasn't for YouTube. We're beyond the days now where I'm sitting hoping that wrestling gets better, because I know it's not going to get better. And I've known that for a long time now. And I think anyone sensibly with a brain can just, we can all see that wrestling's not getting better, and if it was going to get better, well, you need a drastic change. People think that wrestling can get better if this guy gets pushed or this guy gets pushed or somebody wins a championship. If Chelsea Green wins a championship, that'll save SmackDown. Listen, there is no title changes saving this shit. There is no individual wrestlers saving this shit. If I made a list of, let's say, all my top wrestlers in WWE right now, SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, if I released all the shit ones and just kept all the good ones, and then just made one show and put like the 20 odd good people that I liked on the one show and made the show just 2 hours, it would still not be good because of the product, because of the design, because of the writing, because of how everything is manufactured. It doesn't matter. The sad reality is you could bring back Rock and Austin, and you could, we've seen it. We've seen The Rock. Come on. Honestly, a lot of new fans won't really know, but for anybody that was watching wrestling in the Attitude Era, you cannot honestly say that The Rock, when he came back with the whole final boss character, that hasn't got shit on the real Rock. The final boss character is the worst version of The Rock that we've had. People think, the final boss. If you compare like the final boss character to like 99 2002 Rock, it was night and fucking day, night and day. And that goes for everybody. That literally goes for everybody. I don't care how good they were back in the day. You bring them back now and you put them into this shit product, and this shit product is going to weigh them down. It's like you could let's say you're in the kitchen and you're cooking, you've got a pot, and the pot is literally fucking full of shit, alright? It's a pot full of diarrhea, and someone's pissed in it as well. So it's a pot full of diarrhea and urine. And let's say that you've got the most succulent piece of, I don't know, chicken or whatever, and you need to cook it, but instead of cooking it in like some nice oil or whatever you do, you decide to cook it in the pan that is full of shit and urine. It doesn't matter how good that chicken is. You put it in that pot, and that is going to get saturated in shite, and the flavour's going to be lost, and the quality's going to be gone, and it's not going to be good anymore. And that's how it works with wrestling. It doesn't fucking matter. You could bring all the best guys back. You could put them in time machines and you could bring them back. They're not going to be good because they are in an era. They would be in a company. They'd be part of a product that is fucking horrendous. So if you want change in wrestling, the personnel in the ring, the wrestlers themselves, the matches, the promos, that's not going to make wrestling better. That ain't going to. There needs to be a clear out from the back. The entire writing team needs to go. The people in charge, like Triple H, needs to go. And you need to get somebody with a fresh mind in. Or, I mean, even at this point, I don't even think Vince McMahon would be the best choice. People can say Vince McMahon and Vince Russo, but it'd be better than what we've got now. But even then, it's like, what, 80-year-old Vince McMahon, 66, 67-year-old Vince Russo. I mean, at what point does time pass you by? At what point do you have to hold your hands up and go, you know what, I'm probably not as cool as I used to be? And I just don't think it's a good idea for people that are that age to be writing wrestling or, running wrestling. But we need fresh minds in there, and I don't see why we can't get it. I don't see why we fucking can't get it. Yeah. Anyway.